How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Kuf, Daf 100 of Masechta Sanhedrin. Friends. Alright, well, got another big old daf over here. Today we're talking about Apikoros' shtickle, and then get into like the Sefer Ben Sira, and it's just another daf of Chelek. I think every single daf is going to be like this for another 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing daf Kuf Ches right now. Oh my gosh, daf Kuf Zayin. These are massive pages. Holy shit, these are massive. Oh, these pages are so big. Shnikes. Wow. This every parak, every Masechta has its own challenges. Parak Chelek, it's very interesting. It's a lot of Agadata, but they're huge pages. I mean, I know like the recordings have been pretty short. They've been 20-30 minutes, but preparing and reviewing has been taking ages. I've just been kind of running through them. Anyways. Alright. So we're going to start on Daf Tzadites Amud Beis, about 10-15 lines from the bottom at the two dots where it says Apikoros. Rav v'Reb Chanina Amar Tavai, both Rav and Reb Chanina say, Zemavaz Tamil Chochem, that an Apikoros is a person who disgraces a Torah scholar. Reb Yochanan Reb Yeshua ben Levi Amri Zemavaz Chaveroi b'fnei Tamil Chochem. That an Apikoros is somebody who degrades his friend in the presence of a Talmud Chochem. Bishlam Lamando Omer Mevaz Chaveroi b'fnei Talmud Chochem Apikoros Avei. So I understand if you say that somebody who disgraces his friend in the presence of a Talmud Chochem is not Apikoros, so then Mevaza Talmud Chochem Atzmoi Megale Ponim Baterish Leika Aloche Ave. Now, yesterday we had darshaned the posik of Kidvar Hashem Bozo. So we had given three options. Ze Omer Ein Torah Min Hashamayim Va'afilu Right, fine. Davar acher Kidvar Hashem Bozo Ze Apikoros. Davar acher Kidvar Hashem Bozo Ze Megale Ponim Baterish. So we had the concept of somebody who says that the Torah is not from Shemaim. We had the concept of an Apikoros and the concept of Mevazeh Ponim Baterish, Megala Ponim Baterish. So I understand if you say that an Apikoros is somebody who embarrasses who degrades his friend in front of a Talmud Chochem, that's an Apikoros. What's Megala Ponim Baterish? Somebody who I forget what the word is, but somebody who's like disgracing the Torah. So then, that is somebody who denigrates I think that's a word, a Talmud Chochem himself. So again, so I understand if you say that somebody who degrades his friend in front of a Talmud Chochem is not Apikoros, then Talmud Chochem Megala Ponim Baterish Sheleika Aloche Ave, and then somebody who disgraces a Talmud Chochem directly would be Megala Ponim Baterish Sheleika Aloche. But if you say that somebody I keep on using different words. I forget what they are. Somebody degrades, disparages, disgraces a Talmud Chochem himself. If you say that that's an Apikoros, then Megala Ponim Baterish Kigon Mai. Then what's Megala Ponim Baterish? Kigon Menashe ben Chizkiah. Well, that's like Menashe ben Chizkiah, who we had said that he was like, poking fun at the Torah, right? He was saying, how come we need to know that Ruvain picked flowers, for example? Vika demasne lo aseifa, and those who have this machlokes regarding Megala Ponim Baterish. Megala Ponim Baterish Rab Chanina Amri Zemvaz Talmud Chochem. That when it comes to Megala Ponim Baterish, this machlokes, Rav and Rab Chanina say that it's somebody who disgraces a Talmud Chochem himself. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi Amrei Zemavazeh es Chaver b'fnei Talmud Chochem. And Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says this is somebody who disgraces his friend in the presence of a Talmud Chochem. So I understand, according to the opinion who says that somebody who disgraces a Talmud Chochem himself is Megala Ponim Baterish. Well then, Mevaze Chaver B'fnei Talmud Chochem Apikoros Ave. Well then, what's an Apikoros? Somebody who degrades his friend in the presence of a Talmid Chacham. But if you say that degrading your friend in the presence of Talmid Chacham is Megal Ponim Baterim, then what's an Apikoros? Apikoros could go in Man. Who's an Apikoros? Rav Yosef says, if Yosef could go in Hani da Amre, it's like those who say, Maya Hanu Lon Rabbanon. What good do the rabbis do for us? They just learn for themselves. Abai says to Yosef, but wouldn't that be considered Megal Ponim Bater? Because after all, if it says, if not for my Torah, well then there would be no heaven and earth. So we see that the Torah that's learned is for everybody, is for the entire creation. That by Stoim it says, if there are tzaddikim, if there are learned people, then I won't destroy the city. So we see that the learning, right? Shalom Rav lo yahavi soresecho, right? Talmidei chacham ma'abim shom ba'olam, for example, right? That the limud atera does affect the people. It's not just for themselves. I could go into Yosef Kamei Rabbe v'nofle shmaito beduchta achrise, rather than apikoris is somebody. No wait, where am I? Oh yeah, exactly. Fine. Rather it's an apikoris is somebody who's learning in front of his Rebbe, and then there is something related to another thing that they had learned. And the student says, this is what we said over there, rather this is what the master said. He should say, this is what the master said. And if he says, this is what we said over there, then it's, I guess he's an apikoris. Rav Amar says, Rav Kigon Hani Deve Binyamin Asya, it's like the people by Binyamin, right? Dr. Binyamin. The Omer Mayahanulan Rabbanon. What good? What have the rabbis ever done for us? At the end of the day, May Elam Lo Sharulan Orvav Le Asulan Yona. They never permitted a raven to eat, and they never forbade a dove to eat. Kilu. Right? The Talmidei Chacham aren't making any big chidushim over here. So what do we need them for? The Torah says already, a raven you're not allowed to eat, a dove you are allowed to eat. You are allowed to eat? I guess so. Makes sense. I guess we don't really eat doves. But anyways, so like the rabbis never changed that. So like, what do we need them for? Like, well, they're not making any big chidushim. Now, whenever the household of this, I guess, Dr. Benjamin family would bring meat in front of them for Rav to check if it's a treifa or not, if he was able to be matir the meat, he would say, kind of as like a way to kind of rebuke them and poke fun at them, be sarcastic. So he said to them sarcastically, you see, I'm permitting for you a raven. Wink. And if it was osir, if it was treif, we would say to them, look, I'm forbidding to you a dove. Wink, wink. Rav Papa Amar says, Rav Papa, what's an apikoros? Kigon, Domer Hane Rabbanon. A person says, those rabbis, in kind of a disrespectful way. Rav Papa Ishtali, one time Rav Papa made the mistake, he forgot, V'amar Kigon Ane Rabbanon, and he said, like those rabbis. Based on so he fasted as a way to apologize. Levi bar Shmuel v'Rav Huna bar Chia avuka misakne mitpchos sifrei Tver Yehuda. Levi bar Shmuel and Rav Huna bar Chia were fixing up the I guess covers of the sifrei of the svarim of Rabbi Yehuda, making like covers for them, I guess. Kimot Megillas Esther, when they got to Megillas Esther, Amrei, they said to Rabbi Yehuda, Ha Megillas Esther lo boi mitpachas. They said, okay, Megillas Esther doesn't need a covering, right? So meaning, the way that they asked the question, kind of, the answer was built into it, right? They were saying, Megillas Esther doesn't need this covering, right? Meaning they weren't asking him, does Megillas Esther need a covering? They were sort of feeding the answer to their teacher, and then just asking for a confirmation of what they are already suggesting, which is disrespectful. So Amalu, Rav Yehuda said to them, Ki agavno nami mechze ki afkirusa, that could be considered like an apikoros kind of thing as well. Rather than sort of you giving the answer, it's more respectful to ask the teacher what the answer is. Rav Nachman Omer says, Rav Nachman Za'akirei Rabbi Bishmoi, and apikoros is somebody who calls his teacher by his name. Rabbi Yechanan mipnei ma nenosh gechozi. Why was Gechazi punished? Because he called his teacher Elisha by his name. And Gehazi says to the king that this is the woman, this is her child that Elisha brought to life, but he didn't say my teacher, Elisha. Rabbi Yirmiyah was sitting before Reb Zera, Yosef come and he says to Reb Zera, that in the future the Rabbeinu Shalom, the Almighty, is going to bring out a stream from the Kodesh HaKodeshim v'olav kol minei megadim, and on the sides, on the banks of that stream, are going to be all sorts of geschmacke things. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Balanachal, and on the stream, Yaila Asvaso will be on the edges of it. Mize o mize kol eitz maichol, all types of fruits you can eat. Lo yibol aleyu, their leaves will not wither. If lo yitam pirio, their fruits will not cease. L'chodashav yivakar, and every month there will be new fruits. Kol meimav min hamikdash heima yetzim, and all of the waters come from the Beis Hamikdash. Vayepirio l'maichol v'aleu l'srufa, and the fruits will be to eat, and the leaves will be for remedies, medicines. Amaleu Sava. So now a certain elder passed by, and he says to Rabbi Yirmiyah, Yeyasher, he says, Shkoyich, b'chinam Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan Taka says, Dezelbe Zach, the same thing. Rabbi Yirmiyah sees this, and he hears this, what this elder says, and he's taken aback. And he says to Rabbi Zera, did you just hear that? Ki ai gavna mechzaf kerusa. He says, what this elder just did sounds like apikorsis to me. I was quoting a brayso, I was saying a teaching, and he's coming and as if like I need his support. So he's saying, wow, you're taka right. Even Rabbi Yochanan says that. That's not nice. So Amalei, hi, so you come sayeh Allah. To which Rabbi Zera says to Rabbi Yirmiyah, chill out, bro. I mean, he was really just coming to support you. I think it's all good. So Ella rather says Reb Zera, rather if there's a similar scenario that would be considered apikorsis, it's the following. Now we've seen this before in Bava Basra. Kiyad Yosef, Rabbi Yochanan v'Kadarish, Rabbi Yochanan was sitting and he was darshaning, the Almighty in the future is going to bring great stones and jewel and pearls. Shein shleishim al shleishim amis, 30 amis by 30 amis v'choykek boyim, and he's going to etch into them eser brum esrim. An entryway, 10 amis wide and 20 amis tall. Umamidim b'shai Yerushalayim, these ginormous stones are going to be in the entrance of Jerusalem. Shenemar, right, these gems and things. Shenemar v'samti kadkod shimshosayich v'shayrich le'avnei ektoch v'gomer. I'm going to make your windows like kadkod, and your gates like these great stones. Ligleg olav oisa Talmud, and then oisa Talmud laughed at, he belittled Rabbi Yochanan Omer. He says, Ashta kibeisa de tziltzula le mashkachinon. We can't even find jewels the size of a small, the egg of a small dove, I think. Right? So, we can't even find moderate, we can't even find the size of a small egg. Such a jewel. Kuli ay mashkachinon, yet we're going to find 30 amas by 30 amas. Sure enough, this student ended up going out on a boat trip. And he saw the ministering angels, the command, and they were sawing these great stones. And he says to them, Hani Laman, what are these stones for? And these stones were the size that Rabbi Yochanan described. They said, well, in the future, the Almighty is going to install them at the entrance to Jerusalem. And the student says, holy shnaikis, Rabbi Yochanan was right. So the next time we saw Rabbi Yochanan, the Yosef Kadarish, who was darshaning Amarle, says to Rabbi Yochanan, Take, Rebbe droish v'lchanoy ledrosh. He says, Take, Rabbi Yochanan, you should darshan, and you taka should darshan, keilu Rabbi Yochanan, kshem shamati kachveisi. As you said that there's going to be these ginormous stones, I taka saw them with my own eyes. Amaloi, Rabbi Yochanan says to them, Reika, Yashmendrik, Im lo ra'isa lo ya'manta. Well, if you hadn't seen it with your own eyes, you wouldn't have believed me. Milagleg al divrei chachamim ata. You are belittling the words of the sages. Yoev ba'enei v'asoy gal shel atzomis. Rabbi Yechanan looked at the fellow and made him into a pile of bones. Hazoy. So that's a scenario where this chutz ben yak, he says, he gives support in a place where it was inappropriate, right? Rabbi Yochanan had said that there's going to be these stones, and this chutz ben yak comes and he says, yeah, look, I saw them. You're right. Rabbi Yochanan didn't need him to say that. Meizvei, a contradiction. How can we say that there's going to be those stones, that the entranceways are going to be 10 amas by 20 amas tall? I'm going to walk you highly. I think it means that a person is going to be 200 amas, twice the size of Adam Arishan. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Kuf Amo. Rabbi Yehuda says 100 amas, kineged heichal v'chosalav, like the sanctuary and its walls. Shneimar asher bin banenu, I think. No. Asher banenu kinetiim. Our children are like trees. Migudalim bin ureim. They're like big. Binosenu kizavius mechutovus tabnes heichal v'gomer. And our daughters will be like the sanctuary. So how could it be that these gates are going to be merely 20 amas tall when the people are going to be 100, 200 amas tall? No, when Rabbi Yochanan was talking about 20 amas tall, that was talking about just the air vents for the wind to be able to get through. That's it. What does it mean that the leaves of these trees next to the stream will be for medicine? Rabbi Yitzchak ba'avudim and Rabbi Chizde, machlekes Rabbi Yitzchak ba'avudim and Rabbi Chizde, charam lahatir peshel ma'al v'charam lahatir peshel mata. One opinion is that it will heal a person's mouth. If he can't speak, he will be able to speak. The other opinion is that it will heal barren women, right? That if they're unable to have children, they will be able to have children. Itmar is also stated, Chizkiah, Omar says, Chizkiah lahatir pe ilmin, to open up the mouths of mutes. By Kaparam lahatir pe akaris, by Kapara says it's to open up the wombs of barren women. Rabbi Yochanan Rama says Rabbi Yochanan L'Sufa Rabbi Yochanan says for healing mamish. My L'Sufa. What is the Sufa? Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachmani Omar. Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachmani, that Trufa stands for the Toar Panim Shel Bailei Peh, for the I don't know. I forget what that means. Let me look it up. Can I find it? Yeah, for the brightening the countenance of the speakers. Okay. Now where are we? Anybody who blackens his face on divrei Torah in this world, the Almighty is going to make his radiance radiant in the world to come. Okay, that means that. Anybody who starves himself in order to, study Torah in this world, the Almighty is going to satiate him in the world to come. In the future, the Almighty is going to give each righteous person a handful of good, awesome stuff. Shneimar, Baruch Hashem, Yom Yom Yamos Lanu. Every day He's going to give us an omes, which is, a handful of greatness. Abai says, wait, how could it be that a person is going to receive a handful of God's greatness? Right, God's handful of greatness. The Apostle says, "Mimadod b'shaylo mayim v'shamayim bezeres tikein." That basically the world is the size of the space between God's thumb and pinky, I believe. Meaning that a handful of God is an entire world. How could a person receive an entire world? That's way too much for him. Amarle, my time lo shchichas ba'agadta. So, who said that? So Rav Dimi says to Abaye, how come you weren't at the Agadata class? The Amri b'Mayrava, Mishmei Derava by Mari. Also, HaKadosh Baruch Hu liten l'chol tzadik v'tzadik gimel meus v'asor alamus. In the future, the Almighty is going to give every tzadik 310 worlds. Shenemar la'anchil ohava yesh. Right, so say mamali yesh b'gematria tlos mea ba'asor ava. Yesh is 310. So in the future, the Almighty is going to give all the tzaddikim 310 worlds. So they'll have plenty of space to receive a handful from the Almighty. Tanya Reb Meir Omer says, Meir b'midah she'adam moededin loy. Says Meir that in the measure that a person measures, we measure to him. The Pasuk says, "B'saisa b'shalcha trivenu." That in its measure, right, when you're punishing the Yidden, only punish them in their measure. Amar Rabbi Yeshua says, how could this be? How could it be that if a person gives a handful to a pauper in this world, then the Almighty is going to give him a handful in the world to come? What about the pasuk that says that like the whole world is essentially between, right, the heavens are between his thumb and his pinky, kilu. The whole world is, a handful is way too much. But wait, is this not so? Wait, what's greater? A good thing or a bad thing? Have you a measure of good is greater midas pranus than a measure of badness. Midas tova, it says by midas tova, and he commanded the heavens above, and the doors of the heavens open, and the man came down lechol to eat. It says by midas pranus, the windows of the heavens opened up. So we see that, by good we said a door the size of a door, whereas by bad only the size of a window. Midas pranus ksiv, and it says by bad stuff, v'yetzu v'ro b'figre anoshim aposhim bi. That by Gog and Magog it says that you're going to go out and you're going to see the corpses of those who sinned against me, ki tolaisim lo somus, that they're going to be all wormy, v'isham lo sichbe, and their fire will not go out. V'ayu deiron l'chobaso, there will be a deiron for all the flesh. V'ale adam moshe that's ba ba'or ba'olam hazem yad nichva. But now a person who puts his hand into a fire in this world immediately gets burnt. So how could it be, right? The hand, right? Flesh gets consumed. So how could it be that their corpses are going to just be on fire, a fire that will not go out? Won't the bodies be consumed? Rather, we see that their bodies won't be consumed. That the Almighty gives to the Rishayim whatever they need in order to receive their punishment, and if that means that their bodies should be considered continue to be burned and not consumed, so be it. Now also the inverse is correct, that the Almighty gives to the righteous everything that they need in order to receive goodness, and if it means giving them the capacity to receive a handful from the Almighty, which is a humongous amount, so be it, they will receive it. Okay, so now we get to the next part of the Mishnah. Rabbi Akiva Omer Af Akur B'Svarim HaChitzenim. Rabbi Akiva says somebody reads the Svarim HaChitzenim does not have a share in the world to come. And okay, the Shaila is what are the Svarim HaChitzenim? We're going to get into the Sefer Ben Sira. I'm going to read from the article because there's a lot of technical stuff. But anyways, okay, so Tana B'Sifrei Tzidukim. So what's the Sifrei Chitzenim? It's the books of the Tzidukim. There's another version that says Minim, the heretics. Rav Yosef Omar, one second. Okay. Anyways, Rav Yosef Omar b'Sefer Ben Sira Nami also the Mikre. Rav Yosef says you also can't read from the Sefer Ben Sira. So now I'm going to switch to the art scroll. Okay. Omar Abaye. Abaye says to Rav Yosef, my time, how come you can't read the Sefer Ben Sira? Either if it's because in the Sefer Ben Sira it says Loi tintosh gildana me'udne, do not strip a gildana even from its gill. A gildana is a type of fish, and we're saying don't remove the skin of the gill. So lest its skin go to ruin. Rather roast it with its skin in fire. Beichel beitartin, greets him and eat with it 2 cakes of bread. Okay, what's wrong with that? Asked Abai. Imi pshatev, just the simple reading that don't waste. Borais and amikosov, los hashchis and seitza, right? We also have, of course, in the Torah, bal tashchis. So what's wrong with that? Imi drasha, and if it's the drasha or achar kamashman, well, the Sefer Ben Sira is just telling us so livo shalokedarka, that somehow that means don't have bia shelo kedarka. But also, what's objectionable about that? By examines the second potentially objectionable passage, ve'ela mishum dichsev bas lavia matmones shav. Okay, that it says in Sefer Ben Sira that a person has a daughter, and a man has a daughter, it is a false treasure. Because he has this daughter, but he's not going to sleep because he's scared. He's worrying about her every night. He can't sleep. That when she's Ketana, maybe she'll be seduced by someone. When she's a Naira, maybe she's going to have Znus. When she becomes Bogeres, maybe she won't find the Shidduch. Once she gets married, maybe she won't have any children. When she gets older, maybe she'll become a Machshefer. So there, right? But the rabbi said the same thing. In the Sefer Metzir, it says that having daughters is, it's this false treasure because you're going to worry all the time. But the rabbis also said, the world needs to have boys and girls. But fortunate is a person who has boys, unfortunate is a person who has girls. So the rabbis also said that better to have boys than girls. Rather, it's because of the passage of, do not allow sorrow into your heart, for sorrow has killed mighty men. But Shloima said the same thing. That if there's anxiety in a man's heart, let him quash it. One says he should move fear out of his thought process. The other opinion is he should talk it out, go to a therapist. So also, Shlomo HaMelech also said that a person shouldn't be overcome by anxiety and sorrow. Okay, so maybe it's because it says right? Maybe because it says do not prevent the public from coming into your house. Do not bring everyone into your house. Rabbi Nami Amar, Rabbi said the same thing. A person shouldn't have too many friends over at his house. As a man with many friends is destined to be harmed. Okay, so far, every passage that we're quoting from Ben Sira seems to resonate with Torah concepts. So rather, it's the following things. Zaldikon kurtimon. Rather, it's because it says a thin-bearded man is exceedingly wise. Avdikon sachson. A thick-bearded man is presumably a fool. He who blows away the froth in his mug of beer is not thirsty. Because I guess if you're thirsty, you just gulp it down, I guess. Yeah. If a person says, what am I going to put on this bread? You have any chumis epis? Lachmasav mine. So take the bread away from him because he's clearly not that hungry if he doesn't just wolf it down. One who has a part in his beard, the entire world cannot defeat him, because if a person has a part in his beard, it means he's a real thinker. He's always stroking his beard, and that's what gets his part. And somebody who's such an intent thinker, it's going to be hard to outthink him. Okay? Amr of Yosef says of Yosef, and even though an individual is forbidden to read Ben Sira because it contains a number of frivolous passages, nevertheless, the good things in it we may expound upon. Isha tova matana tova b'chei kirei Elokim tinosin. A good wife is a precious gift who's giving to the embrace of a God-fearing man. Isha ra tsaras levad. A bad woman, a bad wife is tsaras for her husband. So what do? Yigarshen mibeso, divorce of Yisrap mitzaraiso, and thereby healing the tzaras. Isha yafe asher baila. A beautiful wife, fortunate is her husband. Mispar yom of kiflayim, the number of days is doubled. Halbenechem eishes chein pentilachim b'mitzudasa. Conceal your eyes from a woman of charm, lest you be caught in her trap. Don't turn to her husband to share wine and strong drink with him. Ki besoar isha yafya rab mushchasu. For many have been destroyed by the countenance of a beautiful woman. And numerous are her victims. Many are the blows sustained by peddlers. Okay. Those who habituate others to immorality are like a spark that ignites a coal. As a coop is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit. Prevent the public from coming into your house. Do not bring everyone into your house. Many should inquire after your welfare. Nevertheless, reveal your secret to 1 in 1,000. Indeed, guard your words even from the one who lies in your embrace. Do not be distressed by tomorrow's troubles, for you do not know what will happen today. Perhaps by tomorrow one will not be alive. And it turns out that he was grieving over a world that was not his. All the days of a pauper are bad. Ben Sira Omer Aflelos. Ben Sira adds, even the nights are bad. Bishval Gagim Gago, for at the base of other roofs is his roof of Mamharim Karmo, and at the height of mountains is his vineyard. Mimtar Gagim Legano. Therefore, all of the rain from the roofs end up dripping onto his roofs. Pouring onto his roofs because his roof is at the bottom. And all the good soil of all the topsoil of his field ends up getting blown away into everybody else's fields because he's at the top of the mountain. Okay, another day of Chelek. That was of Kuf Masechta Sanhedrin. We learned about Apicorsis and Megalaponim Latoras and all sorts of things, and we've gotten to Ben Sira and stuff like that. Peace out.